welcome to Psalmic Saturday here at Ariel's Corner. This is Ariel Gatoga, and we are streaming live on YouTube. Moderating today are the lovely Honeypaw and the lovely Jason. Thank you so much, moderators, and thank you to everyone for joining us today. I hope you're having a great day. We do have a premiere at 11 a.m. Pacific time, just over 40 minutes from now, so I hope that you can stay with us. I did remember to connect that premiere to this live stream. So if you just hang out to the end of the exit music, it should dump you right onto either the watch page or a link to the watch page, depending on the device that you are using. Please remember to like the video, subscribe to this channel, and hit the notification bell. When you hit that notification bell, please make sure you choose all notifications. Our website is located at arielscorner.com. arielscorner.com. We also have a podcast hub that you can access by going to arielspodcasts.com, arielspodcasts.com, and our shop is located at arielscornershop.com. You can donate to this channel if you'd like by using the super sticker or super chat function right in the chat, or if you're watching on a restream, you could always use the super thanks, or if you want to give to us directly, you can use our PayPal portal, which is located at paypal.me/Ariel Gatoga, paypal.me/Ariel Gatoga. And I think that should do it for my announcements for today, and we'll get going with our Psalm spell. Today we are working Psalm 19. In traditional psalm magic, we use Psalm 19 to feel the love of the divine, to increase faith in our magic, to receive divine blessings, for release from jail, to remove evil, for help when hospitalized, and also for help in childbirth. This is also a very powerful formula to connect with the divine design. And as such, we can use Psalm 19 to alter our course so that we become successful in any of our undertakings. So we're going to use Psalm 19 for generalized success. So if you have something that you're working on, and it doesn't matter whether it's business, a relationship, body, health, finances, whatever it is that you need a little tweak so that you can have more success, bring that to mind as we work through this psalm. The way we work psalm magic is very simple and very effective. We read the psalm that we're working with all the way through once without stopping. This is commonly known as an incantation. After we've finished that recitation, we go back through the psalm and we consider each verse one at a time, and we dig for those hidden meanings behind each verse. Frequently, we call these occult meanings because they are hidden. It doesn't matter how good you think you are at this, just the act of digging and searching for them and then trying to apply whatever you find there to your situation that you brought to the psalm is all that it takes, because then you're finding and dislodging those magic seeds and planting them in the depths of your mind where they take root. They grow, they blossom, and they bear fruit after their kind. And that is exactly what you and I are going to do together right now with Psalm 19. Okay, here we go. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. Their line is gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun, which is as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and rejoiceth as a strong man to run a race. His going forth is from the end of the heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it. and there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing in the heart. The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, yea, than much fine gold, sweeter also than honey and the honeycomb. Moreover by them is thy servant warned, and in keeping of them there is great reward. Who can understand his errors? Cleanse thou me from secret faults. Keep back thy servant also from presumptuous sins. Let them not have dominion over me. Then shall I be upright, and I shall be innocent from the great transgression. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. Very interesting psalm. This starts out with the heavens declare the glory of God. Now in the psalm, in Hebrew, it's El for God, not Elohim. So this is a very ancient way of speaking of God. And there are many allusions to the idea that this psalm has its roots in ancient sun worship. And you'll see that as we go through it. So this ancient way of talking about God in the sky God. The heavens declare the glory of God. Now the glory of something is its aura, is its the aura, the electromagnetic field of something. And so when we talk about your aura, we're talking about the emanation of your soul that is greater than your body. And when we're talking about the glory of God, we're talking about the emanation of that aura of the infinite. Oftentimes, the emanation of that is considered the dwelling place of God. And so the glory of God is also known as Shekinah, which is what we call magic dust or fairy dust, which is the ever-present substance that underlies all form. And the firmament showeth his handiwork. So let's just say that whole first phrase so it makes more sense. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. So again, we're talking about this sky God, this idea of the infinite as coming forth as the God of the sky, the Father God versus the Mother Earth. And everything in the heavens show the handiwork of the infinite, show the glory and the aura of God. You can even see all the stars in the heavens as a depiction of that magical dust. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. So when the idea is that the power of our spoken word during our waking hours is the best way for us to keep track of our thinking. So during our conscious, let's say that again, our conscious mind could be our conscious mind versus our deep mind is what we're talking about here. So the day is a representation of the conscious mind. Now, it's not always possible to monitor all of your thoughts, but you can monitor your speech. And the power of the spoken word is what is depicted here as being the most prominent power that our conscious mind has. So there is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. Your word never returns to you void, is another way of saying that. So minding what you're saying day to day. A lot of times what happens is we have this idea of like say we were using this spell to become successful in our business. Then you have to watch what you're saying about your business. You have to watch what you're saying about business in general and not getting into discussing your hardships all the time. That's not to say that you can't complain occasionally, but make sure that if you're complaining to somebody that can do something about it. So if you were talking about your body, the only time you want to complain about your body is when you're talking to your doctor. so that your doctor can do something about it. But if you're spending your time and your speech talking about how tired you are or how things hurt or how this condition isn't healing, then you're misusing your speech. Instead, you want to reserve your speech for that which you would like things to be. Their line is gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun. Now we're talking about the word of God here. So we are the microcosm and the infinite is the macrocosm. The word of God does not return to God void either, but God does not involve themselves in idle speech like we do. Their line has gone out throughout all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun. So the sun is a representation of the infinite for us here on earth. Now, we don't say that the sun is God, because obviously there's more than one sun, but we will frequently say, and the wise would say, that God looks through the face of the sun. And so for our solar system, that is the most powerful example and symbol of the infinite that we have. And the tabernacle of the sun is the holy temple of the infinite. So in our own world here, we'll have churches, or even in the Psalms, they talk about Zion and the tabernacle on the hill, and then we also have our own personal altars, etc. Those things are microcosms for the tabernacle of the sun. So there is also a holy place, a holy temple called the tabernacle of the sun, and that would be what we call in our work here the solar light, because that tabernacle's function is to make sure that the divine design is always happening, is always in effect, which is as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber and rejoiceth as a strong man about to run a race. Similar to the idea of the sun being drawn across the sky by a chariot in some of the old mythologies. His going forth is from the end of the heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it. And there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. So even when you can't look directly at the sun to see it, you can always feel its heat. And that's a symbol that even though you can't always see the face of the infinite, you can feel its effects because your heart is beating, your mind is working. You are experiencing things. You have consciousness. And so that is to the infinite like what it is to us to feel the heat of the sun. You don't always see the infinite, but you feel its effects. The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. So it's a very clear change in tone from one section to the next. So we were just talking about the sun and the tabernacle and the sun god and the sky god and all of that. And now all of a sudden we're talking about what appears to be, from the ancient Hebraic faith, Torah. But remember, Torah didn't exist in the ancient Psalms, so this is another symbol for divine law. So the Torah would be a symbol to us for divine law. Now, the ultimate divine law, and we know all about the Hermetic laws, those are all divine laws, but the ultimate Hermetic law, the primary Hermetic law, the primary divine law, is the law of cause and effect. And the invisible world is the world of cause, and the visible world is the world of effect. And that is reflected in the previous verse where it's talking about even if you can't see the sun, you can feel its effects. And so the invisible world will always show itself through its effects. So it says, the law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. So if you but listen to the teaching that you are being given at every moment of time and point of space through this law, you will become wise. You don't have to have complex concepts in order to be wise. In fact, it's the opposite. By stilling your mind and listening to that small, still voice within you, that voice of peace, you will be guided every step along the way. And that's always been true, and it will always be true. And the law of the Lord is perfect. So if there is an effect in your life that you do not like, the infinite can teach you what is in the invisible world that is causing that and how to change it. And then, hearkening back to that previous verse, you may not always be able to have your mind disciplined enough to be stayed on that, but you can direct your words to support whatever that new thought is that you need in order to change the circumstances that you're desiring to change. The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. So you will be happy and you will see the results of this if you are steadfast. If you put your faith in the infinite and in its perfect law, you can use the law of cause and effect to your benefit. And that's what the infinite wants for you. It's not like you're tricking the infinite in order to get what you want. It's the infinite wants you to have this, wants you to use the law for your benefit. But the only way that you can use the law to your benefit is to be taught about the law. And the way you need to be taught about the law is within your very specific and personal, unique circumstances. So whatever it is that you've brought to this psalm, there are very clear-cut lessons that need to be learned in regards to what the thoughts behind it are that need to be changed, and then how your speech patterns can reinforce that change of mind. So there's work to do. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. Okay, so the fear of the Lord, on one hand, the fear of the Lord means respect and allegiance to the law, the understanding that the law of cause and effect is true, and that you can't undo it, you can't circumvent that. So that's, on one hand, the fear of the Lord is understanding that what your circumstances are a result of something invisible. But on another level that we talk about frequently, it's your relationship to the infinite is the fear of God. And the fear of the Lord means the ecstasy that is always present when you are aware of the presence of the infinite. So when you get that feeling of ecstasy, when you get that feeling of knowing the omnipresence that is the infinite, then that's clean, it says, and it endures forever. And that's really all you need. If you can tune into the omnipresence of the infinite, all of the rest of this stuff takes care of itself. It's a fast track to getting what you want. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. The judgments of the Lord are how the infinite sees you and sees your circumstance. The infinite doesn't see your circumstance or you the way you do, because the infinite doesn't have any difficulty seeing the truth. The infinite doesn't have any filters. It's like what we have, if you've ever seen the old-fashioned graphic artists, they would have those sheets that they would lay on top of their drawing, and they could put a different sheet on top, and then another sheet on top, and another sheet on top, and until you almost couldn't see what was the original drawing. And that's what our world is like. That's what the ego does for us, is we project things onto the screen of space that aren't real, that aren't the will of the infinite. But because of the power that we've been given and the free will to do that, we interact with those experiences as if they're real. Well, the infinite doesn't have any of that. So the infinite sees through all those overlays. It sees right through it and knows what you really are and knows what your circumstance really is. And so if we can move into that fear of the Lord, then it's clean and it endures forever. And it calls forth the judgments of the infinite, which are to say these overlays don't exist. So let's just take those off. And then here you go. Here's your outcome. Here's your happiness. Here's your joy. Here's your success. More to be desired are they than gold, yea, than much fine gold. Well, yeah, because if you just have gold, then you only have that much gold. But if you understand this, if you understand the workings of the law, if you understand how to work this and how to be, you can have as much as you need at any moment of time and point of space. It's the difference between having a genie grant you one wish and granting you infinite wishes. And so you've been granted infinite wishes, not from a genie, but from the infinite itself, because you are an extension of the infinite. You're not separate from the infinite. You're an extension of the infinite. And you have the same powers of creation that the infinite does. You just don't know how to use them properly. In fact, you misuse them. We all do. And that's why the judgments of the Lord are so important, because that is the corrective measure that is necessary for us to get things back on track so that we do have all that we need. So moreover, sweeter also than honey and the honeycomb. So gold, honey, and the honeycomb are all ancient symbols of the sun also. So this is another reiteration that this was an ancient sun god prayer at some point, possibly. Moreover, by them is thy servant warned, and in keeping of them there is great reward. So by following the where was that? So verse 9, where it says, the fear of the Lord is clean and enduring forever. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. So by aligning yourself with the fear of the infinite and receiving its judgments, in other words, its corrections and its instruction, then you are guided. You're either told, don't do that, or do this. Don't do that, or you might get hurt, but do this because it's going to get you what you want. So when it says, moreover, by them is thy servant warned, and in keeping of them there is great reward, the great reward is the infinite's will for you. And what you want, this is so important to get, what you want is nothing compared to what the infinite wants to give you. It's not that you're asking for too much, it's that you're not asking for enough. And so through working a psalm like this, we are at least momentarily opening our mind to the idea that, wow, maybe my desire, maybe my goal is not that big of a deal. Maybe it's not even close to what the infinite has for me. So I'm going to open my mind and my heart up to the idea that this or something even better is coming. Who can understand his errors? Cleanse thou from me secret faults. That's such an important part of this. If we knew how to do better, we would. Isn't that the truth about pretty much every mistake we've made in our lives when we've really messed up? If I knew better, I would have done better. So there's all kinds of stuff that we've been programmed to do, that we've been taught to do, that are at odds with our true nature. And that's the disease of this whole world. It's that whole idea of the demiurge and the ego mind. And so for us to say, oh, I know what I need to do. I know what's wrong with me. I know what needs to be changed. I know what needs to be healed, is shortchanging ourselves. Instead, we're saying, I don't know. It's a secret to me. I'm stumped. I don't know what needs to be changed. I don't know what my errors are. I don't know what the problem really is, but you do. And so when it says, cleanse thou me from secret faults, I don't know, but you do, and I'm open and willing for you to go in and tweak me. Because when you tweak me, infinite, I know everything works out for my highest good. And I want a perpetual tweaking. Keep back thy servant also from presumptuous sins. Let them not have dominion over me. Then shall I be upright, and I shall be innocent from the great transgression. Let's go backwards. What's the great transgression? Swallowing this false idea that you're separate from your Creator, that you're all alone, that you're defective, and everything that comes out of that idea of I'm separate, I'm not good enough, comes out of that, I'm defective, I am an evil sinner, whatever your thoughts are that your ego mind comes up with are simply reiterations of this grand transgression, which was, I wonder what life would be like if I was separate from my Creator. And just that contemplation in and of itself, wherever that happened at the beginning of time, to the infinite child of to the divine child of the infinite, because of the power of our minds, just contemplating that idea of, I wonder what it would be like to be all by myself and separate from my Creator, caused a big problem, the great transgression, the great separation. But the truth is that it didn't really happen. How could it happen if that's not the infinite's will? So yes, the infinite gives us free will, but the infinite can't give us free will to do things which are against the will of the infinite. But the infinite can give us free will to use our minds in any way we want. And so when we use our minds to think of something that's impossible, we do have the opportunity to dream dreams that think that the impossible has happened. And that's where we are here. And that's what we're coming out of here when we are asking to be innocent from the great transgression. Because you are innocent. You didn't do anything. Nothing really happened. So keep back thy servant from presumptuous sins. In other words, don't let me be an ego, run amok. Let me be who I am, which is a soul. Always connected, always an expression and an extension of you. Let them not have dominion over me, then I shall be upright. And this is hearkening back to the beginning of the psalm. Help me with my words. What am I saying? I can't always keep track of my thoughts, but I can keep track of my words. And if I keep track of my words, and I only speak the truth, and I only speak that which I desire to be, do, and have, then I am being kept from having the ego have dominion over me. Because it's through the spoken word that the ego does its dastardly deeds through us. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. This is similar to what is frequently talked about in the Old Testament when somebody was preparing a sacrifice. Let the sacrifice be acceptable. And now we're understanding that our words are the ultimate sacrifice, that our words are what's important here. So when you speak anything, you're asking that those words, no matter what they are, be acceptable to the infinite. And then your meditations are not necessarily what the wandering mind is experiencing, but what you're focusing on. Where is your attention focused? That's the meditation of your heart. And the heart represents your deep mind, and it's showing you a secret that what you're focusing on, what you're contemplating, is deposited into the deep mind and shows up on the screen of space. So if we're saying that everything that is being deposited into my deep mind that will show up on the screen of space, let that be acceptable in the sight of the infinite. In other words, let it be reflecting the truth and not all the lies of this so-called great transgression. Not all the lies of the ego mind, which are nothing but chaos, because they're just nonsense. We live in a nonsense world because we are all projecting nonsense thoughts onto the screen of space. That's not the infinite's will for us. So now that we are saying, I want to have everything be healed for me, I want to be successful in whatever this endeavor is that I brought to the psalm, you get a wonderful parting gift as well. Not only do you get that, think of those old Ginsu knife commercials, those of you that are old enough to remember. Not only do you get that, but wait, there's more. you get to have your entire world transformed. So yes, you can be successful in this situation that you brought to the psalm. And there's so much more. You can also have your entire life transformed. So let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. My strength, it's important to remind ourselves that strength in the Psalms frequently is talking about defending ourselves from things outside, defending ourselves from problems. Strength in battle is what was usually meant by the word strength, Geburah. So the strength of the infinite is what we want, because then we no longer have to be defensive. We no longer have to defend ourselves because it's taken care of for us. So the infinite is your strength and also your redeemer, meaning that all of that stuff that we've been talking about, all the judgments of the infinite and the glory of the infinite, and all of that we've been talking about comes through the law of cause and effect to redeem you. In other words, to awaken you to the truth about yourself, which is that you still are perfect as you were created. That all of the imperfections that you are experiencing in this life, along with the rest of us, is a big lie that we've all swallowed. And we are now asking that we awaken to the truth. And that's what redemption is. When you're redeemed, you're awake to the fact that you're an innocent child of the infinite. And your innocence is the only reality here. And so out of that innocence comes all of the success that you desire. So you just keep coming back to the same psalm over and over again until you get a sense of peace and certainty about whatever the issue was that you brought to the psalm. And that sense of peace and certainty is a clear indication to you from your deep mind that you have cast your spell and you don't need to work on it anymore. In fact, it's best if you just put it out of your mind and move on to something else. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Until next time, blessed be. Oh, well, that wasn't that long of a psalm. Let's see if we have any questions here. I've read in some of your booklets about Uranus energy magic in addition to the traditional 7 planets, but I'm not sure I have a good grasp on what one would call on it for. It's frequently you're probably talking about angel magic. Angel magic uses Uranus usually as Ariel, and it's not an easy planet to deal with for most of us. But if you have Aquarius as your sun, rising, or moon sign, then it's one of your birth angels. And that's usually the easiest way to start with it, is if that's one of your birth angels. If it's not one of your birth angels, you're more than welcome. It's not that it's an evil angel. It's just that most people that don't have Aquarius in their charts don't have an idea of what it feels like to deal with that kind of an energy, because it's very electrical and it can cause a lot of rapid change, which some people find uncomfortable. So if you want to work with Uranus, if you want to work with Ariel, of course you're welcome to do that, but just expect very rapid change. And sometimes that rapid change people can find uncomfortable. And that's why frequently we recommend that unless Aquarius is one of your main angels, that you avoid that until you've done a lot of work with the other angels first. Again, not that it's dangerous, but sometimes people find it to be somewhat uncomfortable if they're not used to that sort of energy. All right. Well, thank you so much for that question. And thank you so very much to everybody for joining us today. I hope you can join us in 10 minutes for the premiere of our video. Thank you so much to the amazing moderators, Jason and Honeypaw, and Dre, I see you there too. And we'll see everybody tomorrow for Soulful Sunday. Until next time, blessed be.